And it's hard, isn't it? Certainty. So it's the hardest position I think I've ever had to adapt. I've realised that all my life has been one of prevaricating around certainty. In order not to look stupid as a narcissist, it's important that I have a get out. So I would never be certain about anything unless I was really certain about a simple thing. Like this motorcycle isn't working. I'm certain that it's the fuel injector's got water in it because it took me 3 days to find it. Using the scientific method, I've removed that water from the injector and replaced it, and now it's working. I'm certain that the misfire was caused by the water in the injector. There's a certainty. I've worked it out, and I was able to then stand on my own intellect, not my own feelings. Anything to do with feelings, I would prevaricate. So that I had a get-out clause. So that now I'm adapting the position of certainty. I'm standing on it as a foundation and a platform, and I've been standing on it for several months. And in fact, years, 2 years. I just hadn't realised quite how solid the foundation was. I needed to check it. I'd found a foundation, it seemed good. It looked like it was the hardwiring for all human machines, is what I thought, in terms of the revelation. And then because I couldn't explain it, I set out to try and find it. And some of the early stuff was easy, and it just got more and more solid. And every moment, my practice of certainty, and then I applied that certainty to my vision of the moon that I had in 21, going, well, what is that? Applied the same principle, looking for that misfire. Found the blunder in E equals MC squared. Incorrect perspective. They're looking at it wrong. The double slit, looking at it wrong. And that's in E equals MC squared. So you just look at E equals MC squared with a new perspective as C, as the inertial frame of reference. It's a non-accelerating frame, if you're interested. It's more useful than rest mass. And just have a look using that perspective and see what turns up. And what's turned up all this time later is that the moon is an illusion and that science is lying. And that's a real certainty. And I'm not prevaricating. 100% certain of those two facts. And then from that, all this conjecture about the planet of glory that awaits us has then all stemmed from the discovery of that certainty that what lies at the root of it is love. Love lies at the root of certainty. It lies at the root of everything. But you've got to really look to understand that that's the case. That's why I say to you, just take my certainty that we stand on a platform of love and help me, work with me to build a planet that stands on a foundation of love. And it will stand on the foundation of the ice core of pi inside our planet. That the ice will be where it belongs, the water will be where it belongs. And the destination over the next billions of years, possibly faster, is that Pangaea will get recreated. When you look at the planet from the highest perspective and in terms of its history, and you just look at that period from the Cretaceous to now, what's happened is that Pangaea, the earth of shallow seas, warm shallow seas, the land mass has migrated to the North Pole in order to hold it tighter, to grip it. So the planet is alive. The planet is aware that the Earth, that it has slipped over the last 68 billion years from its central position as a fruit, and it's spinning and ready to fall in the autumn of its years at the end of this reality cycle. And so the planet holds on. It's moved all its landmass up, and it left Antarctica to balance. All the rest of the landmass has moved up to grip the pip as it melts. And that's what's been happening. It's been melting. So this is brilliance in terms of certainty and in terms of the timeline fracture that I predict. If you stand on this certainty with me, alongside me, when the pulsar arrives, we will put it into orbit. In our world, on the Earth on which we stand, the pulsar will go into orbit, because that will be the point of the timeline fracture. When the energy enters the time zone of the Earth and causes a rupture in the time zone of the Earth, people who are spinning correctly with nature will go with nature and will go on the Earth that's got the pulsar in orbit. Those who don't have that certainty, have doubt in their heart about the foundation of love, will stay on the planet, the one that the pulsar hits. I don't know how long it'll take. I think it would likely spiral down. It will orbit us, turning and turning on a opposite of widening gyre, entering towards the planet, and it's going to be a hell. Because I think the species that spin right, which is all species, will come with us, the certain ones, onto our planet of glory, where we'll evolve into the air swimmers, and we will take care of the planet, and the others won't. Now, on a risk assessment basis, I want you to go through this process in your mind as a risk assessment. Now, when you look at a risk, you've got to assess the likelihood of the hazard happening and the hazard of it happening. So what would it do if it turns up? So that if it turns up, the hazard is existential, the end of reality, and hell to get you there. That's the hazard. So it's worth investing, and we must be taking mitigating measures against the hazard quite as extreme as that, even though very, very, very unlikely. And that the only way we can do that is to prove to ourselves that it is evolution on our own and of all life, that is the momentum of the planet, that we can control it, we can control time. And that's our mitigation. Let's make sure we can do it before the star turns up. If it's this Christmas, I don't think you've got any chance at all, have we? You haven't. I'm fine. Even if I'm wrong and my protein doesn't timeline fracture and does stay on this planet that becomes hell, I already know that my energy is immortal and my energy will carry on. And that mine won't be stuck in a loop. Mine will be set free because of how high I've come and how well I'm vibrating. In terms of the resonance of nature, I match the resonance of nature. I've brought myself to that place. So the reward for that energy that I've evolved over these last 2 years is that it will just go back in time, and my journey will be back to the beginning of time. So I'm happy either anyway. I've won. I've got a contentment in my heart that I want you to have. Certainty, contentment, forgiveness, compassion for yourself, your best friend. And then when you recognize that you are your best friend, you'll see that all other species are your best friends. Because we're the same. And then we'll see that all the planet is our best friend because we're the same. The planet's alive. We're just cells living on it. Let's live happily on it, people. Take my certainty. Now the window is going to be closing. The mitigation is, if you think there is any chance that what I'm saying might be true and you take no action, then I'm afraid you have no one to blame but yourself. I know, it's tough, isn't it, being an adult, having to take some responsibility for yourself? But you'll have time to rue the decision, I suspect. Rue it to the depth of your heart, and just look for forgiveness and know that it's not your fault. In your heart you can be with us, and you will be, because love never dies. Come on, it's better than what you're looking at. Love rules. Do the work. Choose.